Newcastle United have only won one of their last 7 matches in all competitions. Does this man right here deserve to lose his job? In today's video, we will be discussing and debating every aspect of Newcastle at the moment, how they're performing, are the players performing, are they playing for the manager, is the system and tactics right, and can they get out this awful rut that they are in at the moment? So Harv, what do you think is the biggest problem at Newcastle at the moment?
I think the issue is just the amount of key players that they have injured right now. I mean, Eddie Howe has barely got a squad to play, and I can obviously sort of sympathise that as a Tottenham fan, because Eddie Howe is, he's just basically got a lot of kids to play or a lot of not sort of deadwood players.
Look at Trippier,
really.
He was injured last night against Liverpool.
Well, exactly,
because he's been run into the ground.
Exactly, that's the thing. And the way Howe wants to play is it's a lot of energy. It requires a lot of energy, and Newcastle, with the players that they have to keep playing the same team, and then that means that they're just eventually going to just fizz out because fatigue, like you said, fatigue sets in. They've got a game like every 3 days. They've got Champions League. I know they're out of it now, but they did have Champions League, Premier League, Carabao Cup. They had the lot.
And they've got FA Cup coming into play.
Now they've got FA Cup, yeah. But the main ones in terms of the league is Aston Villa and Manchester City coming up. I think Manchester City at home, then Aston Villa they got away. So
2 tough fixtures.
Yeah, and I don't know if they can win that. And then that's when you could, not necessarily on Eddie Howe's fault, because these teams are good, but when you win one in like 11, sorry, like 8, we're 1 in 8 now, but if you win 1 in 11, no matter who you play, it just doesn't look great. You could be a relegation side, and if you've won 1 in 11, it's just not good enough.
I think it could be easy to look at like Aston Villa, for example, under Emery and think, oh, maybe if we did upgrade on Eddie Howe and get someone with more experience at the top level who's won things, could we get more out of our group of players?
Yeah.
But you just got to link it back to the injuries. I think once Newcastle have a lot of players come back, their squad starts to become less fatigued and they start playing regular football, but with regular changes as well to keep the momentum, I really think they can make a push for top 4 because there are a lot of quality players in that squad. Callum Wilson and Isak are 2 of the best strikers in the league, and they both play in one team. Guimaraes, Joe Linton, at the back, Botman's come back now. Obviously, that will be a big boost for them going forward. Boost. Goalkeeping situation, will they sign Ramsdale? Will they wait until Nick Pope returns? It's one of those, isn't it?
Could be a good signing as well.
I don't know things. Calvin Phillips, he's a good technical player, and he will offer something different. He will help maybe rotate with Guimaraes in the 6, but he has a bad injury record, and at the moment, Newcastle don't want players who are going to be like that. So, what do you reckon? Would it be a good signing, do you think?
I think there's a good chance he could be a good signing, but with a poor injury record, you're not going to want another player that is injury prone. But if he does stay fit, I think he could be a massive player for them, because if you put him in sort of that defensive midfield role, you could see someone like Bruno Guimaraes sort of move up the field, and I think that's when we could see the better side of Guimaraes, because right now he's not been.
Do you think he's better in the 6 or the 8?
I think he's better in the 8, because you look at like Declan Rice, for example. He's a very good defensive midfielder, don't get me wrong, but I think you could also see Declan Rice sort of prevail if you had someone like Thomas Partey come in at CDM and him going at 8. So I think if Calvin Phillips came in as a CDM, I think you'd have a great cover there for Guimaraes to sort of push on. And then you could also like switch around. Obviously, you can have Guimaraes in the 6 as well. It's not like I'd say he could just play in at 8. He could play both, but I think
he could completely change his system as well.
He could, yeah.
A 2 in midfield of Guimaraes and Phillips. A bit like what Southgate did for England with Rice and Phillips. So.
And it's a shame Newcastle don't have someone like Maddison, because if you had them 2 in sort of the pivots, and then you had a number 10 like Maddison for Newcastle, I think you'd have a very, very good midfield there. But unfortunately, they didn't sign Maddison. So Calvin Phillips, though, I think he could be a good signing, but with that injury record, yeah, it's sort of a 50-50, it'd be a gamble to sign him, so it sort of depends on the fee that they'd get him for. And Aaron Ramsdale, like you mentioned earlier, he'd be a great signing, I think. Cause
I think he'd improve. Pope's injury. And also, he's a better distributor.
Yes.
So if they want to sort of play a more expansive game further down the line,
that's why I think he'd be great as well. Yeah, he'd be fantastic for Newcastle. But is that sort of a panic signing? Because then that means you got Pope and Ramsdale, so then you sort of got a Raya and Ramsdale situation. So you don't want that. So Pope comes back in like March, April, I think.
Thing is, he could.
So still a while.
Pope could easily play for a lower level team like a Nottingham Forest, even Wolves, a team like that, even an Everton. They could take him. He would almost not necessarily suit their system. I know some of them play with pragmatic football, so you would say yes. But in terms of that sort of level, like when he was at Burnley, saving shots for fun with Ben Mee and Tarkowski in front, he built out sort of understanding, didn't he? He doesn't have to be a progressive sort of ball playing goalkeeper at a Forest and Everton, or even a Wolves, like he would at Newcastle if they maybe want to elevate their game.
Yeah.
And also, what you got to think is, if they did get rid of Eddie Howe, would bringing in a short-term manager be the right option, or do they want to build upon and bring someone in for the long term? Because changing manager mid-season is never easy, is it?
No, it's not. Of course, it's not. And when you want to start a project, you want to start with a manager in the summer, like we did with Postecoglou, and like many managers have done at great clubs. And I think Eddie Howe, to be fair, when he came in, he came in a team that was 19th. They're 19th in the league in Newcastle, so you've got to give him the benefit of the doubt. It's the first sort of shocking form that sort of we've seen from them.
Yeah, in terms of prolonged, because they have had sticky patches, but this is like quite bad.
This is more than a sort of a blip. This
it's
is
not like
bad
a
form.
fully fit team, and they're all
no,
just
exactly.
Sort of not
and you've got to give them the benefit of the doubt.
They put in the hard yards.
Yeah,
they play for the manager, and that's
he's not lost a dressing room at all. I don't think he's lost.
It's not like a Ten Hag situation at all.
No, and I don't think this is just down to if he ever is sacked, it would just be down to his sort of ability as a manager, nothing to do with him losing the dressing room. But I think it wouldn't make sense to sack someone like Howe because you've got a project going on at Newcastle, and to sack him and bring in a short-term manager, it would completely sort of ruffle the feathers of that project. It would make no sense to me. Like if you brought in a manager that can win now,
a bit like a Conte or Mourinho.
Exactly, it just wouldn't make any sense to sort of help towards the project that Newcastle want to build, because it's evident that they do want to build a project with the Saudi owners, because that's why they wouldn't have Eddie Howe in for as long as he is. And you can see the way they're signing. They're not signing big players. They're signing good players, very good players.
But they're not just signing, like splurging.
They're not going for the big boys. Yeah, exactly.
Stuff like that.
Exactly. You'd only do that with a top manager. But the only thing I would say that would sort of benefit a short-term manager is if you brought in a proven winner and he won things with Newcastle. You've got that sort of winning mentality. You've got that sort of pedigree as a club where you've won things and you can kick on. Your players experience winning, and it's
because that team is very naive, isn't it?
Exactly.
Like, how many players in that squad have won big trophies? Very few, if any.
Very few, exactly. And the way what Newcastle owners have said, the fact that they want to go on and win Champions Leagues and win Premier Leagues, to do that you have to win trophies. You can't go from sort of winning nothing to winning a Premier League. It's almost impossible to
especially with the quality of teams like Arsenal, City, Liverpool.
Exactly.
Who are just much further along in their development with their managers, their tactics, their style of play, and most importantly, their players.
That's just a question I'd have on Eddie Howe, is can he breed a winning mentality to Newcastle? Because he's done a great job, fantastic job, and he's not in worthy of a sacking position, but can he bring that mentality of winning trophies to Newcastle? And I think that's a big question that will sort of be held against him. But that's the only reason that you could end up agreeing with sacking Eddie Howe. But right now, with what they're doing, the long-term budget and slowly building the squad and bringing players in, I think you've got to keep him, because you've also got to give him the benefit of doubt, because he's been amazing at Newcastle so far. So to sack him would be.
So he's completely revolutionised players like Joe Linton, who looked like a Finnish striker, and now he's playing in that sort of number 8, number 10 role in midfield, and he looks a top player.
I mean, these players are looking like they're top. They're
not like elite players, but they're very good.
No, very very good. Exactly, they're like sort of top 8 standard players now. I know they got top 4 last year, but right now they're obviously performing to like a sort of top 8 standard.
So comment down your thoughts below. Do you think they should sack Eddie Howe now and bring in either a short-term manager, or try and find some guy who would be in for the long term who's got quality? Or do you think they should persist with Eddie Howe, see how it goes, see if they win trophies, and maybe replace him at a later date? Let us know down in the comments below. If you've enjoyed the video, smash the like button and the subscribe button, and go and check out our TikTok channel as well, Talkin'Ball Talk. Go and follow us on there. Go and check out some of the content. Very similar to YouTube, but make sure you go show your support over there if you're enjoying the channel. Anyway, enough of that. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.